Advice question: how to overcome tall poppy syndrome? Hi, Lewis. You've mentioned on the podcast how Australian culture has a problem of dismissing/despising people who succeed. This ties in perfectly to what I was talking about earlier in the episode about leaving this place. I often feel like this in regards to myself and my own achievements, and I really want to know how you overcame this, if you have ever experienced it firsthand. I'm far more critical of myself and my own success than I am of others. In fact, I really like to see Australians succeed, and I try to support the ones I enjoy. Legend. But when I try to think of myself as successful, I get intense thoughts and feelings to just not even attempt it because I know I will fail, in quotation marks. You're very insightful and wise, so if you have some genuine advice, I would really appreciate it. Yeah. I don't know if I would call this tall poppy syndrome. Tall poppy syndrome is externalized. It's something that you look at someone else and you go, who does he think he is for being successful? I don't think it's something that is internalized. I think that's different. I think and I think a really good thing when you're struggling with something, anything, whether it's depression or thoughts like this or anger, is trying to correctly identify it. Because if you can't correctly identify it, you can't find the root of the cause. And if you can't find the root of it, you can't overcome it. You can't turn it into something beautiful. So when you call this tall poppy syndrome, I think you're wrong. Because tall poppy syndrome is when I look at you trying and I go, what are you, gay? That's what that is. You looking at other people and going, oh, wow, I'm so proud of you. I support you. I think you can do it. But then looking at yourself and believing the opposite, that's not tall poppy syndrome. That's self-loathing. That's you having a low opinion of yourself. That's you thinking that you don't deserve good things or you don't deserve success. When I try to think of myself as successful, I get intense thoughts and feelings to just not even attempt it because I know I will fail. Yeah, that's low self-worth, man. That's you either thinking that you're nowhere near talented or you couldn't ever become successful, or it's thinking that, fuck, maybe I could become successful, but I don't deserve that because there's something wrong with me or I've done something. You need to what everyone needs to really try to understand is that there is no such thing as failing. It is not real. It is a social construct. What does exist and what is real is giving up, or worse, never trying. There is no such thing as failing because you can't. It's very, very unlikely for you to attempt something and not pull it off to such a degree that you cannot ever try again. All right? There is only trying and not trying enough. That's all that there is. This idea of failing doesn't exist. I think I'm a pretty good example of this, right? I try all the time and I try really hard, and there was a long period of time where I was too sick to do anything. And my career had all of this momentum, and then I hit a wall and I stopped, and a lot of people, and I had these thoughts, of course, a lot of people would just stop and be like, fuck, I had my shot, the world got in the way, it's not my fault, but everything fell apart, and, I lost everything, right? And those were thoughts that I had. And those were worries that I had of like, man, how can I possibly come back from 4 years of being sick and inconsistent and then like essentially an entire year of disappearing? That, to a lot of people, that's failure. But it's only failure if you make it failure. I could have stopped there. Truly, I could have. I could have stopped. I could have gotten a job. You know, I had the house. I had a mortgage. I could have just fucking gotten a normal job and be like, oh, well, I tried really hard with comedy, but the world got in the way and I failed. And I could feel bad about that, and I could make that true. That would be a decision that I made. But that failure is a social construct. It's imaginary. It's not real. We give that power. And I'm trying to tell you that, like, you know, when you train for something like a race and you lose the race, I'm not saying that loss isn't real. I'm saying that the failure that you feel is fake, because there is no way to fail. There is only signals that you can use to pivot or continue or change direction entirely or go backwards and come at it another way. A good example of this, again, is like my sickness. I just tried to push through it and ignore it and ignore it and ignore it. And that did way more damage to me. And that did more damage to my career. What I should have done, and this is hindsight, and this was like way too scary for me to even conceive of the idea. But what I probably should have done is, in hindsight, is during COVID, when I started to become really ill, I probably should have just stopped everything. I would, you know, work for a few years, make a little bit of money, because the online money was crazy back then. And then when I got really sick was around 22 to 24. What I should have done is I should have gone, you know what, I'm going to go through all of these surgeries. I have some savings. What I should do is just quit, pause the Patreon, make a video going, hey guys, I'm really sick right now. I'm going to be back when I'm well. And I should have just taken 18 months off and not tried to post through the surgery and the recovery. And I could have used that money that I had to sustain myself, and I would have been okay. And then when I came back, it would have been fucking momentous. Instead, I tried to ignore reality and post my way through it and this and that. And then I was just inconsistent for years. And what I'm trying to say to you is, like, there is no such thing as failing, because when you do something and it doesn't work, it's an opportunity to try it again or try it differently or try something else. There's no fail. It's not real. You think about you way more than anybody else does. I can't remember. I don't know anyone who's failed. I know a lot of people who quit. Have you, like, really think about it? Who do you know that failed? I can't name anyone. I can name a lot of people who quit. And probably a lot of those people who quit think they failed. They didn't fail, they quit. Failing is not real. The only thing that is real is trying and quitting. I have a letter from my grandfather that he wrote. He's 91. He still works. He's an architect, and he wrote this thing. It's not his words, but it's like his favorite quote for his life. And it's just persistence. Nothing in this world beats persistence. There are so many people that are very talented that have a natural gift for this, or they were born beautiful or born into wealth or have all these advantages. I know for a fucking fact, dude, especially with what I've been through, no one in this country, in my industry, is more persistent than I am, because there are so many difficult things that I have overcome or pivoted or worked my way around, that where I am now, I understand that I can tackle anything now. And all the things that I have overcome were times where I could have quit and gone, it's too hard, or I tried and I failed, and I could have accepted this fake idea of failure. There's no such thing as failure. There's trying and not trying. There's also no such thing as success. That's not real. There's trying and not trying. What is success? Having $1 million? I don't care about that. Success, for me, is becoming really good at comedy and making the world laugh and trying to do that. That's, to me, success. That's my personal definition of it. And someone else's idea of success will be very different, which means it's fake. It's not real. It's subjective. You've got to come up with your own idea of success. When I try to think of myself as successful, I get intense thoughts and feelings to just not even attempt it because I know I will fail. The reason why you're so scared of failing is because you haven't tried anything, so you don't know what trying something and it not working feels like. Persistence. You build up a resilience to something, and you build up a resilience to things not working. And let me tell you, dude, any successful person has way more losses than they have wins. The difference between a successful person or an average person and an unsuccessful person is the ability to weather the storm, the resilience to losing, the resilience to trying something and it not working out the way you wanted it to. It's otherwise known as persistence. It's very scary, this idea of failure, when you've never actually tried. It sounds to me like you're just imagining trying something and then you imagine failing at it and then you psych yourself out. You haven't actually fucking done anything. You're scared of your own shadow. Like, you can't. It's easier said than done. Believe me, I know. But you can't imagine yourself into doing nothing. That's the only real fail is never trying. So what I was talking about at the start of the podcast, if I go to the States and I fucking tried really hard and it all blows up in my face, I will know that I tried my best. I'll come home and I'll be like, at least I know. You don't want to be the person who's like, fuck, I never even found out if I could. And what's also fascinating about trying, because I'm 31 now, right? And unfortunately, I'm wise. You know, this is what this person said. You're very insightful and wise. Do you know why people call me that? It's because I've been through a lot of fucking pain and hardship and awful stuff, especially over the last 5 years. And I'm just coming out of that fog. And apparently I've come out wise. It's not something that you can be taught. It's something that you survive. And you come out broken or wise. Or both. What a lot of the things that I was terrified of that did happen, I have now come to be very grateful for. A good example is my illness where I lost everything for a couple years, right? I am now grateful that happened because and it's taken a lot for me to get to this, but essentially in 2019, I was crushing it. I just dropped my comedy special. I was making a fuckload of money. I was only looking up and up. I had no expenses and no responsibilities. And I was like, I'm moving to America. I know I am. And I started talking to immigration lawyers and I was getting the ball rolling. And then COVID happened and I was devastated. And COVID went for 2 years. And I was like, holy fuck, what the hell? And then I got really sick. And then I had to go through my own little personal lockdown, basically, where everyone else got to go out into the world and I was stuck in my house getting decapitated and stitched back together for 2 years, right? And now I'm on the other end of it. I've been well for like about maybe 18 months. I got the braces off January last year. So I've been well for like 18 months. And I've been able to like work on progressing forward rather than just undoing damage for the last 6 months. That's how new all this shit is. And the reason why I'm grateful for it is what a lot of people would look at as a failure of like I was here and then I lost it all, right? Is because I now know with hindsight, if I moved to the States in 2019, I would have gotten sick there because that was always coming, right? That was in my cards. So what would have happened is, fuck, maybe I moved to the States and I got everything I wanted, and then I would have lost all of that. I would have had to come home. This is even if COVID didn't happen, right? So obviously COVID happened. Thank fuck it happened while I was in Australia, because if it happened in the States, I would have had to come home. And that would have been devastating. I would have spent all of my money getting over there, and then I would have had to come back. But even if COVID didn't happen, I would have been in the States. Maybe I would have been building something. Maybe I would have been cast in a Marvel movie or whatever. And then I would have gotten really sick and I would have lost everything, spent all my money, and I would have had to either gone bankrupt getting the surgeries there, or I would have, which would have left me here, or I would have had to come home and do the surgery. Like, do you see what I mean? Like these things that when at the time when they were happening, I was like, oh my God, I'm losing everything. I'm freaking out. I'm failing. It's the end of the world. I can now look back on with hindsight and be like, dude, I'm glad that happened then, because everything that I lost, if I was where I was dreaming of being, where I thought I would have been if these things weren't happening, if it happened when I had those things, I would have lost so much more and it would have been so much harder to get back. Now I know that when I do move to the States, I'm going as the healthiest version of myself with no, God forbid, medical emergencies in my future, but also with everything that I've been through, I'm going as the most resilient version of myself. So I know that no matter what the fuck I face over there as a broke immigrant, I will be okay. And the only reason I know this and I know these things is because I have persisted through these thoughts of what if I fail and what if it doesn't work? The only way to know is to go out and do it. And the more you do it and the more you fuck it up, the more resilient you become to fucking up. And the more you get to a point where you realize the truth, which is there is no fucking it up. There is no failure. Those are just imaginary concepts invented by the human brain and anxiety to keep us safe and to keep us off the beaten trail and to stop us from trying anything because it's risky. And that's just an evolutionary thing, because before, risk meant, fuck, I might break my leg and then I'll die and I won't be able to find food. Now, those things, there's food in the fridge, brother. This anxiety stuff, it's designed to keep you safe from cave bears, not from posting something and getting no likes. It's not real. There is no failure. There is only not trying. That's what you need to understand. And the only way to truly understand is to actually feel it. So go out there and try something and be shit at it and understand that that's normal. You're supposed to suck. You're not good yet. That's fine. No one makes it overnight. Everybody just looks like they do. I've been posting since 2012. I haven't made it yet. I'm trying. I'm persisting. And I know that I'm the most resilient version of myself because I have worked through and overcome and experienced things that many people would have internalized as a failure and accepted as the universe telling them that they're not good enough. But I know I'm good enough. And I know that I can be one of the greats. And that's why I'm going to the fucking States, man. And that's what we're going to do, all right? I believe in you, buddy. Go out there and fuck it up.